forefront to fight on this very map. But now you're adding a little bit of a clove. I'm assuming here at this point, you want to be a little bit more or aggressive or sectioning into like slower type of scaling because you're running two types of smokes. And that will allow for you to be a little bit more useful for moves to get some effective lurks here on the side here once they take the attack. That said, they start off on a defense where now on the attack, it starts off right away. Ambrosio is looking to pressure on the A side, and we've seen this already. Neon loves to do this. Run up on the top of the orb, trying to figure out what type of util is going to be answered back on a defense and fall back. And they've already realized and pinpointed so much utility being thrown in front of the A site.
And Roy talked about the anti-stratting that Ali brings to this roster and why they cooked up this clove for that specific reason. And just Winthrop have never picked Sunset at all. And they played it once against Funhavers and it was good. So I was very surprised. I was kind of with Sierra, like I was expecting Lotus. They have picked this all stage. So I'm excited to see Winthrop because remember they got third place in playoffs last year, but now they'll have to hold back against these underdogs of Ambrosia. Satellite knocking at the door. Now it's a 2-3 split, some going through main. With that neon wall, they're going to section the site in half, take some initial control, and because of that ping off the trip, Moves get some information. He is going to fall back and try to dodge this fault line. There needs to be some backup, but the defense, their backs are against the wall, and Ambrosia just bulldozed them down, leaving Ali to pick up the pieces.
Ali won't be able to do too much. Having to rotate back into 4 versus 1, 3 goals watching the spike. Everybody's playing inside too. Nobody even playing off-site. Once the door breaks, this should be quite easy to do. So very nicely done, at least for Ambrosia to fight back towards that back of the B side. You're starting to see also with the changes of Sunset, where you don't have to play the spam on the outside anymore. You're forcing teams to not only play inside the site, but to fight behind the B site to make sure you take full control of site. So now it's a more of a chess game of how you can hold up that area if you don't want to try to play the flood retake on the defense. And you see it. They had decent positioning on the crossfire setups, but utility was much better on the side of Ambrosia to support all of that push from them behind, and they have a nice little pistol round under their belt.
I like the play from Moves to, react to that trip, to go for that first kill, because you're not going to get windows like that often. And Ambrosia just reacted so fast to that, to just fault line, run it down, and Winthrop couldn't sync up with Moves on time, or at least spatially didn't have an advantage to work with. But Glyph could get a good catch here. Smoke dissipates. There's 2 below. The timing of that is so silly and unlucky, or lucky depending on what side. Shondex 1v2. Wait a minute. Gave him the hands. I think there's a fade back there too. There's some help. We'll include Welly in that conversation. Akrian still has, of course, the Outlaw, and Ali, the Lone Wolf, once again.
Nice little shot, picking that Outlaw up. And just popping things down. I mean, for Winthrop University, you're just trying to get some sort of control on top middle. You lose that position, then you try to go for a double push on B main to hopefully isolate the lurk. So I love, at least on the side of Ambrosia, that they played a buddy system to make sure that there was going to be instant trades or keeping players alive and keeping a strong buy going into their bonus here. And it's quite strong. You already see it from the side of Winthrop University. You're forcing so many full shields on that side, so that's going to keep the economy low should they lose some players here. That was a nice little surprise that came out from the TP, but unfortunately the shots didn't land. But Ambrosia still, again, coming in with a very strong buy with a 4-player push from Ambrosia to start things off here on the A side. And again, Satellite at the point to kick things off.
Yeah, just the immediate concuss. Infiltrator, back me up, and Nasi is there and keeps the rest of Ambrosia at bay, because the other 2 that were following up with Glyph were watching the left side because Ali was starting to be a threat. So somehow Winthrop don't drop any bodies until a repeak from Infiltrator. And there's still the Outlaw, and it's still Ambrosia not wanting to walk into that crossfire because they know Ali and Nasi are still there from that peek and elbow. So there's a re-clear through mid.
By the camera being watched here by Shondex, so this just gives a chance for Ambrosia to continue to go left and right. But with this drone coming out on this A side first, you're definitely having this inkling here that this push is coming towards B. So it comes up to these 2 players on this B side that doesn't seem like they want to play soft side. They're just trying to support probably Flare with the paranoia, and then they go for the swing out.
Yeah, they pinged the fault lines on the right side, and Ambrosia have cleared right. They Prowler to left, and they're still looking for moves, and he's going to try and anchor, play off his camera, but now push comes to shove, and he's the one put in a locker. The rest of Winthrop smoked off, one in market, one in backside. There's a bit of a crack in the smoke. Recon will reveal someone close right. Ali, good timing against Shondex. You got pressure from Market. Time is ticking down, though, so the ball is in Winthrop's court to try and go for a home run. And it's just going way too slow for Winthrop, but they can try to shake up Ambrosia where they can. And it's the rest of Ambrosia that are just going to play hide and seek, play time, play their lives. Nasi, that was kind of disgusting, but no time. He'll get to pick up a rifle and leave.
Yeah, very nicely done on the lurk in the end from Glyph, staying inside of that smoke. So while you do have Nasi moving forward and doing some hero plays at that spot, unfortunately, Glyph was less stranded. Easy kill onto the diffuser, and Ali just drops. And that is unfortunately a little bit of a gap on that rotate on how Winthrop University tried to play the retake on that site. Who was it? I think it was going on to the defense on that market. It was Flair, so hyper fixated to try to take down the spike planner that he forgot that there was potentially another late lurk coming through here on middle, and Shondex came across and dropped it, and allowed here Ambrosia to have a much better setup on the post plan and keep Winthrop University kind of guessing on the rotate across. So back into a round where Winthrop University has to go onto an eco. They move the rifle at least forward into the hands of Infiltrator, and they're just trying to crunch. The first contact being the clove here at the bottom for Ali. You'll throw with a flash, you start pushing your way down, but nobody from Ambrosia is setting a foot in that spot, and they're doing a perfect read to just walk contact into the A site.
Ambrosia just committing more members. Usually it was 3. Now it's the whole squad with the Nightfall, the deep Prowler towards that A-Link. Stepping forward, though, is Infiltrator, caught by some concusses. No, it's Infiltrator that gets a big win, while the rest of the team have Sheriffs, hoping to maybe pick up that Neon Rifle, and Winthrop going to have to pull a miracle out of their hat, and it's not going to be easy, but trade back and forth they go. Glyph holds the left side, and they're all invested from Shondex to find that last pesky Sentinel.
Yeah, and even the hat confirms that Moves is on their trail, picked up a rifle and trying to hunt them down as they only just broke the door, so he has timing here. Still a trip towards main, still a camera, so he still has time to isolate these fights after a plant.
Spike planted.
Hey, gotta expect the mid cross, but is he gonna want to rotate from market right to the side or to the back site? And you see Ambrosia only have 2 left, so they gotta keep their head on a swivel. And it's Glyph that makes first contact, moves with a win. It's gonna tap the spike and looks through market and not within the site. And Shondex, just bigger brain, more wrinkles.
Yeah, he was expecting Shondex to push back on Boba to reflank towards market, especially when the last 2 players here on the post plan from Ambrosia weren't kind of playing together to make sure that they could ping pong swing for the trade. So maybe the call or what he was thinking is the IGL saying, play for your lives, play for the time. And unfortunately, they just stayed within the site, and it's an easy kill there for Shondex towards the end. An opportunity there, but it's still going to be a winless half here on the side of Winthrop, who have at least done some good econ damage because you only have 1 rifle to work with around the Sheriff, so you'll take that at least. Now they just need to make sure that the macro stands in here so they could pop their first score in this half.
If it doesn't work out for Winthrop, you have to call a timeout and try to put out the fire. And this is Winthrop's pick, and they were the one that pulled out a secret page in their playbook just for playoffs, cooked up just for Ambrosia in the lower bracket. So, especially in a best of 3, you don't have a lot of wiggle room for weakness. So Ambrosia unsmoked in market. Ali can get a kill. They'll have their ult to just keep the rally going, to keep the position, to stop the B. Pushing the paranoia from Ambrosia is beautiful to overwhelm Ali, and won't be able to pop the ultimate, while the rest of Winthrop just thrive off the Hunter's Fury from Nasi. So Ambrosia are stuck without a spike and without a chance for this round, it's feeling like.
Never had Shondex push up quick enough here to try to take down Nasi when he had the line to start shooting the Hunter's Fury across, but it's easy when Glyph still has the ult to work with. I'm loving this so far, though. They pushed up at the very beginning towards this A site. The TP was slightly early for Glyph, but he stays towards the spawn just in case they already hurt the rotate over on the A side, and he could maybe repivot towards B. But now with only 13 seconds left on the clock, they have to commit for the fight. Might be a mistake coming across now for Ambrosia on the timing.
Oh, the paranoia is massive from Flare. Sets up Infiltrator for success. The spike's down, can't get planted. Shondex has to go for the Hail Mary. And it's just too much for him to handle, and Winthrop have finally scratched the surface of Ambrosia.
I think what would have been nice for Ambrosia if they continue to tempo up after getting that first kill from Nasi, because you know where the beam of the Hunter's Fury is coming from. And then as the spikes dropped, you know that most of the players will be focusing here on just covering that spike, taking care of that area. So you probably have a chance to even knife out a little bit earlier on and try to cut an early rotate towards the top of the connector here of the A site, which maybe then finally you get the TP from the Omen, and he could also knife out so he could plant and you get the fight at the forefront. So a little bit too hesitant towards the end on that call in the mid-round for Ambrosia, and with the University have starting at least trying to find their footing, but not yet.
Oh yeah, Ali already has to use the ult and was hoping to just suppress them just for an extra second. That's still a pretty big win for Ambrosia, and Ali had to go for a kill and gets nothing, and Ambrosia get the orb, can wait out the smoke, of course, but now Ambrosia made all this noise, so they're gonna have to pivot, and Winthrop could get the cutoff. They have a good read. They're gonna try and go through mid.
Two players walking down there in that spot. So angles are still being watched quite well for Winthrop University. First contact coming through from Flare. They already now spotted that Ambrosia slowly falling back, but they are playing very soft on A site now. So there's an opportunity here to bring up the economy on Ambrosia to get this plant. But picking up 2 rifles, I'd like Satellite to drop this to somebody else so he could leverage also the overdrive. Because Acreon, after this plant, is also going to have Rolling Thunder. And they'll have a perfect amount of util and weapons to hold the pulse plant on the A site.
30 seconds left.
Winthrop just going to have to watch this happen. Ambrosia will get a free plan. That's quite a long rotation that Winthrop would have to do. And with 3 sheriffs, you definitely want to go for this. So Winthrop will be on their way. Nasi has full util to try and get information, but Ambrosia have all their angles covered. And that's the beauty of having 5 on the post plant, including even a Rolling Thunder if they'd really want to invest into this. And it's Welly, first contact on the flank. There's the drone in. Winthrop have a little bit of time to play with. Does get shot. Rolling Thunder, you know they're close. And Winthrop scatter away. And now no time to keep fighting this. They'll want to keep these rifles. And Ambrosia will have to exit off the other side.
I wonder what was the call after for Winthrop University to play so weak on the A side. They had 2 players walking down. First contact came through towards that shed. Yet when who was it? I think it was Shondex that ran back towards to meet up with the group towards spawn. They probably thought everybody rotated over towards this B side and were trying to late re-hit towards this B site. And then they just gave up A. There's no opportunities here to really retake towards that site again. After that plant, you get the Rolling Thunder. It didn't change the weapons like I wanted to, but I mean, Winthrop University was way too slow on that retake towards the end. They were just really counting on this lurk and this flank rather right here for moves to maybe get some value, and that would probably engage a faster tempo. But after losing that, no information, Winthrop University are back into a awkward buy in round number 7.
Still such a great streak, and usually Ambrosia, they go to so many map 3s. Every single match, map 3 except 1, I believe, because they always win their map picks and usually fall to their opponent. And, well, they're putting their opponents down too, at least early in this round. So for Ambrosia to have this strong of a start really bodes well that this could be a quicker series, especially with Ambrosia's map pick coming up after this, Icebox. And it's Elbow now being fought for Ambrosia, but not wanting to walk into a crossfire. Flare, though, with a pistol is not going to push his luck. But maybe with Ali with a rifle coming up, Winthrop will hold the line. But Ambrosia, gonna go for a more mysterious approach, pivoting to the other side.
Yeah, and so far Winthrop, every time they were playing into these 4 versus X or 1 player disadvantage or whatnot, they're always grouped up together. And unfortunately here on the side of Winthrop, they're never meeting any type of opposition towards the mid-round. Thankfully, they'll have the info now that moves pushed all the way up. So it gives a chance now for the players to rotate across. They don't have the best of weapons.
Fault line won't stop despite from being planted. Paranoia is still available from Flare. They dodge the one from the offensive side, peeking out through the smoke with a flash from Ambrosia. The teamwork is beautiful to see, but it's kind of bullying when you're going up against mostly pistols from Winthrop. There's still a hero rifle from Ali, but you would need the retake to be faster at this point, and the force is double yours, as Ambrosia have 4. They know exactly where this push is coming from. Shondex could go for the ace. And look, he's just walking up with the knife. Ali hops up on the other side. There's the ace for Shondex.
I like your approach, at least for Winthrop University at the beginning of these rounds, because some sort of conditioning that Ambrosia is currently doing is always these 3-4 players on our right side where Satellite is just jumping around and trying to bait out util. So we're actually adding a lot of players towards mid control in the very beginning, but never really trying to snuff out like the mid round of where their opponents could be. I like that. I like for them to try to get a little bit more, even starting to flank even earlier than expected here, so they could maybe try to drop some players down and make it a little bit easier for them to play these retakes, because right now when they're just playing a little bit more passively and trying to answer back into Ambrosia's hits towards the A side or anywhere, as a matter of fact, it's always one player only. Look at Infiltrate about to walk down. If he falls, this is another 4 versus 5, and then Ambrosia has the whole map to work with again.
Overdrive ace. Watch this. Okay, Prowler and Fall Line. Okay, never mind. It's actually an overdrive from the offense. It's Satellite's turn. Go up the space, and what a trade. At least Winthrop keep Ambrosia humble. It's a 3 versus 3. One step at a time. Ambrosia can get a plant going. The spike is rotating around the safer side, not through A link, to avoid the sight lines of Winthrop. And now with the neural theft from the offense, Winthrop maybe want to wait out some of these pings to kind of hide their footsteps, but it's still going to be Ambrosia with the advantage of information. Still a recon, though, from Nasi. If you really want to pinpoint things, Moves could have an important cutoff. He has a 1v1 against Welly. This could break the defenses. No, the post plant still holds. And Winthrop are left with just crumbs to play with. And they're smoked off. It's a one-way. You wait for someone to peek on the other side of the box, but just at this point, he'd like to keep the rifles. Nasi is going to go for a play. The box peek still happens, and it's a good effort, but no cigar.
Just a little nice micro coming out from Ambrosia. The teamwork that we're seeing coming out from this team is actually quite nice. They doubled up here towards the shop to get ready to push towards the spawn. Although it looked like they broke out in terms of not really being positioned to trade, is just because Glyph had to go into Omen form here to drop that one-way smoke on the right side. But as they clear out towards shop, there's really nothing they can do here on that retake. Even if you have to dart through, you're basically obstructed by the smoke being thrown on the attack side. So you're showing your feet first, you're going to get shot through the smoke, and you just have good util on the side of Ambrosia here to really run down that clock on these host plans.
Something about showing feet first, but like, I don't know about that, man. This is why I flew home. Ambrosia going right through mid. And there's also a trip, so is Satellite gonna want to get crazy, play a little loose, get towards the spawn? Ambrosia, they can take the big risks. They have a 6-round gap on offense of all things. They've really been dictating the tone and the pace of this match, while Winthrop have given them a challenge. But you pointed out some of the solo plays that Winthrop have had to pull off, and now with, you know, a Stinger, a Bucky, you'd have to have a really lucky scenario where Ambrosia are up close. Now that this trip through mid is taken care of, it's going to get the attention of Winthrop, but Ambrosia are not going to cross those lines yet.
And Winthrop's been worked in terms of their wallet. Never really had an opportunity to bring out a snipe yet on the defensive side, and now you're seeing on 5 versus 5 rifles, the control's always on the side of Ambrosia. More by that you have Stinger owned by Satellite.
Ooh, good response from Acri, and that could have been anyone's game. How the spike planted. You gotta try and push him with a Bucky. There's a trip, and even a post plant Nightfall. Gonna make things even more difficult for Winthrop to get through, and then you're not watching the market side. Acri is having a huge round. His infiltrator dips, dives, and dodges, but Ambrosia are just fully taking over Sunset, it feels like.
It's crazy, too, because when I was looking at this team for Winthrop University, when they had past iterations of this roster, I think it was the first leg of Challengers split back then when Sunset was first in without the changes. They were not having the best and hottest of starts on this map, although they always wanted to play this map. Then going into this different iteration, later on joining with Flair, you had even a stint where, shoot, I forgot his name. It was like a smoker that came through that played for a short stint. Nonetheless, they were starting to find good numbers and good victories here on the map of Sunset. You think it continues on now with the return when they just got that victory a couple of weeks ago. Now just not finding their footing anymore.
Yeah, we would be kind of cursed if we casted 2 collegiate L's 2 days in a row. You just can't have that happen. Not like this, bro.
No peeking.
Especially after with catching Winthrop going out this early. Not to, be doom scrolling yet, but like was not expecting this quiet of a start for Winthrop, but especially with no timeouts being used yet, which is kind of surprising as well, because this is now a 4-round win streak for Ambrosia. Good catch. Moves usually plays pretty far back, but with the stinger, gets up close and personal. A little too personal as Ambrosia having to cut through, stagger, and past the cages. Ali with a great isolation. Now the rest of Winthrop work one lane together off the overdrive of Infiltrator and Hasi. Oh, pokes in first. Infiltrator now testing the waters. Goes one, not two. Satellite in a 1v1 against Ali. But the spike is down. Oh, and Ali gives another one to Winthrop. They need all the wins they can get.
And if you want to continue to mention collegiate boys, man, Ali and who we casted yesterday was Dip. The Northwood boys with Guardians are always so good. So going into this moment in ADS, nice little shots preventing here flood from Ambrosia into this B site, and then winning that 1v1 with a nice little crosshair placement against Satellite, who was trying to catch his opponent off guard, thinking that he was going to win that re-wrap across. So a nice little delay, even though Moobs died in the very beginning. He stalled enough here by stopping the players in their tracks to take it down on the staircase to allow Ali to get a good spot. And that's what I wanted to see here. A little bit more aggression, not only to make control, but to prod into tiles to finally give it a player advantage early in the round for the side of Winthrop.
Yeah, Infiltrator's just pulling the trigger first and second and getting more kills than I would say Satellite is right now. And I think on defense, you can catch Ambrosia by surprise a little easier. We'll see with the side swap, but Winthrop are gonna have to muscle these last couple rounds, or you're just not gonna have a lot of cushion to develop, especially if you don't win the pistol in the second half. So Infiltrator gets good information off Glyph, who's just going to be a distraction for now, while the spike slowly scales and Glyph just keeps repeaking. Infiltrator, this is his playground, clearly.
Definitely don't want to see Infiltrator warming up here. It's going to look dangerous for Ambrosia. This man continues to hit his shots like that. They're
contending delay with the paranoia. Infiltrator's looking for the ace! And first it was Shondex, now on the other side, it's Infiltrator. And we have 1 round left in the half. And all thanks to Infiltrator, this could be possible to go out kicking and screaming in the half.
Yeah, you're definitely going to build up the morale on the side of Winthrop University from, if you want to compare those aces. Shondex getting his into at least like some sort of an anti-eco when they had lower buys on the other side. But this time Infiltrator taking the matters into his own hands, pushing down, taking full control of mid by himself, and that was always given up. Remember what we were talking about before, Ambrosia, always 4 players and then a late lurk somewhere from Shondex. But this time, they want to stay as a group. They want to try to pivot a little bit more quickly towards the elbow. Take full control of the A site.
Yeah, fault line through the left side, but man, Winthrop just have their forces concentrated on the cutoffs of Ambrosia Cliff. With a big double, silences Winthrop and evens up the tables, and that means the spike will be leaving after just getting smoked off of elbow and meeting a little too much of a challenge on a link. And then you can just out-rotate Winthrop here.
It'll be similar to what we've seen before. Moob still has full util towards his B side, so they're okay to leave that side open because you could just use that camera on the retake. So now you're playing a crossfire setup. Moobs is trying to play full contact. Gun is sticking out. Doesn't even need help.
Wow. Kind of interesting to want to go all the way to the back of mid instead of maybe the safer approach of just through B door or even just through B main. Like, I felt like they had a lot of time to bring the spike over to the other side, and you don't know if the defense had rotated over, and if they started, then you were going to get cut off like that. So either way, that builds for an exciting map, right?
Well, the thing is, and they also knew Moobs was already playing defense towards that B site. So where you place those trips on defense, you think there's going to be a trip towards main. So you're trying to avoid that a little bit more. So you're trying to play the element of surprise by playing those gaps where Moobs hasn't placed a trip. So it was a good idea, but Moobs is just better.
That's how the Dusk talked about those Sentinels and how they're going to make these Neon's days a living hell. Now, Winthrop on pistol, this is going to be an important catch-up point. And moment for Infiltrator to continue lighting up our scoreboard. As a duelist we've been highlighting and talking about time and time again. And look, we get to see him in 4K through his Cypher Cam too. And Market's going to be denied for now, and Glyph's going to make that call. He'll have the paranoia. Meanwhile, Winthrop throws theirs to try and get this Sentinel uncomfortable. And Infiltrator kind of breaks his ankles getting through. But it's still Winthrop that have established themselves on B.
And smoke doesn't allow Satellite to get any type of picks, and he himself gets dinked as he's trying to cross over on the right side of Boba. Great position now for Winthrop University to kick off their attack side.
Yeah, this is pretty huge, and the Dusk talk about moves and his ability to lurk and play solo, how dependable he has been, and so has Ali. Just flying under everyone's radar and right through the kill feed, being a more selfish agent on the Clove has been really cool to see.
Yeah, exactly what we were mentioning before too. When you're playing a double controller on the attack side, you're also able to help out the lurks coming out from Shondex when you're playing this Clove, able to drop some smokes wherever you can. But even you could be your own lurk, playing this kind of like arena, especially in these pistol rounds. It gives you that extra health and therefore extra armor to fight with their ghost. So it allows for you to have a much stronger pistol buy overall here for Winthrop University that Ambrosia wasn't able to stop here on this B-side push. That said, Sheriff in the hands of Satellite trying to walk down.
There's the double swing from Ambrosia. It's wide and it gets nothing. The firing squad of Winthrop puts Ambrosia to bed. And this is something that hurts about not running a breach on this defense, right? You don't have the fault line as strong of a concuss. You get the information with the fade, but a lot relies on Glyph and these setups, while when Winthrop fully expected it. Now it's a post plant with just better weapons.
Now Dotted Spike, I think, is the best thing. So staying back towards the spawn, I like it. Might be able to get a bit on their side, but there you go. It's a trade-off. They do a little bit of something there, getting one orb, getting a little bit of credits on that kill from that breach. So it allows here for Acreon to get closer and closer to the Rolling Thunder, but nonetheless, you wanted it to be a little bit cleaner, especially maybe to get the freebie against Nasi, who was pushing solo towards that site. And already, King Fred's going to call the first timeout of this map in series, where we thought it should have been at some point a timeout here from Winthrop University when it was at a 7-1 scoreline on the side of Ambrosia. Nonetheless, Winthrop University still able to close up that gap, and King Fred wants to make sure here that Ambrosia doesn't do the same thing that they just handed over to Winthrop University when they took the attack side.
And Winthrop have some free thinkers of their own. I mean, they went down 1-8 and didn't call a timeout. Ambrosia lose the pistol in the anti-eco. They're going into their first rifle round. They call an immediate timeout. They don't want to let Winthrop heat up too much. So I like that Ambrosia know when to calm things down, maybe calm themselves down, but come up with that long-term plan of how do you set up your Neon for success now that you have that the breach, the paranoia. There's a lot to be given to to Infiltrator to do just that. It was the breach on the other side I meant, but we'll see what Winthrop can do. I haven't seen a lot of B main action, and now on Shondex's side, the guy who got the ace, you're depending on him to watch Market with the camera, and he'll even have his fade there too.
An important gun round coming out on defense for Ambrosia. So with this timeout, you're seeing that they're trying to pressure a little bit more into an A-side push. fault line at the ready, but now that there's no pressure, early rotate back, so they are trying to be a little bit more active around the map for Ambrosia, not necessarily to fight into forward positions, but to get the Neon and the Breach ready to like stun and fight in their region.
Ooh, the Prowler reveals Infiltrator. Ambrosia mad respecting that. It's market control taken from Winthrop, but gotta be careful of Ambrosia at the back site. Of course, that breach, Acreon's coming over, doesn't want the mid-cross to happen. He'll leave Glyph to cover that gap while some gaps being created, some bullet holes. They're not gonna be the safest play you've ever seen. Winthrop only have their half of the real estate. The spike is dropped, it never got planted. And Ambrosia have retaken control. Oh, and Nasi's just gonna let him have it. That's your spike now. He just can't even escape. He's just in that one and done spot. So great job from Ambrosia.
Yeah, this is just making sure that you're taking full advantage of the kits of your team. Was probably what was discussed here from Ambrosia in that timeout. Not only that they didn't have to use a lot of their utility on the A side first because there was no pressure coming through, you're able to keep that fault line a little bit later for Acreon to help out the team to prevent this push from happening towards this B side. But all that on top of that was their Prowler from Welly that went towards that towards News that spotted those players from Winthrop University and allowed Ambrosia to just be very active, mobile around the map, and just read where the rotate was coming from. So this is quite nice. It forces now Winthrop University to use util a little bit earlier on their side so they could start pulling out the rotations to their favor on the attack.
Ooh. Just to spam through the smoke? I don't know, because I think a lot of Winthrop's attention is to take out this camera, and it's usually been Infiltrator, but as he tries to slip by, it's still not the easiest task. Now, no camera, no fun, no info for Ambrosia, so they gotta use their eyes, their ears, their keen senses, while Winthrop still on the re-clear. This 1v1's gonna be important, and Moves could make the call towards that side. He gets fault line, but knows that, hey, there wasn't immediate follow-up. Maybe this is a weaker site. And Winthrop are trying to wrap around the backside, maybe try and get this breach, get Acreon. And it all depends if Welly can get there in time to get this cutoff. But the 1v2, he can't pull that off. And it's Winthrop that takes dub after dub every duel they take. And it's a flawless round at that.
Yeah, nice little fight. Great aggression coming out from Winthrop University. And again, it's just the fact that they were using util a little bit earlier on their side. That first recon dart instantly shot out on the side of Ambrosia on the defense, so they know there's a lot of pressure on that middle to kick things off. So maybe you're weaker on the extremities. So you're starting to move the map a little bit more towards that spot, and you find that timing to even fight against Ambrosia's positioning. So I like how they were able to do this without even having to call a timeout or trying to digest what Ambrosia was doing on that previous round. But look at this position. We're trying to fault line down towards the tiles, maybe trying to find a surprise here to crunch in that area. But instead, it's Winthrop University acting the pressure first. So Ambrosia goes for the instant rotate to try to stuff the push towards A.
Glyph gives up elbow because he has to throw a paranoia so Winthrop can wrap around through elbow. They're going to take their time, and Nazi has Ambrosia all dancing. What a shot from Acreon. Still, you're going to hold up on the side. Infiltrator eats the evictor at the end, and it's just Shondex with the Sheriff and no vibes, no aura, no nothing. And a 1-8 start as now Winthrop tying things up very shortly. Ooh, and they're on quite the streak on their offense.
Yeah. Good play here from Winthrop University to actually start off on those extremities. You know, you hit tab, you look at the economy that you have on the opponents, you're expecting some sort of a trap play. And if nothing is coming out here on the A side to start, you saw it on the side of the defense. They're also trying to play off the camera that was placed inside News from the defensive side so they could crunch towards tiles and fight. But instead, they take the upper hand for Winthrop University. Guns right in the faces with Infiltrator at the point. Now trying to find information early again. Nobody breaks that dart. So they know that the pressure is on the extremities now on the defense. And that's how you start scaling up here. Look at the positioning from Flare and from Infiltrator. Slowly moving up towards that area. Wouldn't be surprised if you want to try to throw a couple of more smokes here. You're playing double controller, so if you smoke up one of the sides of the middles, you're forcing these rotates across. The pivot's now moving towards the A side where there's only one player, Glyph, holding that spot. So again, nice little push and pull being called out here from the IGL of Winthrop.
Droning through. Let's see, Glyph up close. Of course, a fault line from Acreon's available to assist. Paranoia, Ambrosia dodges out of that. Infiltrator starts with first blood. There's pressure into the back line. Acreon can't anchor the site. And Glyph has to stay hidden an elbow, and he's picked a good spot. Oh god, a girl with ponytails is coming my way. Puts her down. Now is going to teleport to a safer spot with the rest of the team. And Ambrosia can unite with a 3 versus 4 retake while having to get through a smoke. Pretty sure that could be a one-way too, so not fun. A lot of smokes, and that's the beauty of the double controller you were talking about. Ambrosia may have to just go in blind. Now some info for Ambrosia to work with, all thanks to Welly, and still a Prowler, a little bit of time, and Nazi's gonna be caught lacking. Wait, Glyph could be choking. Oh, not like this. And Welly with just 100 credits. No friends left. No time either. And gets the spot on, well, these flankers trying to deal with them and makes it expensive. Winthrop looking kind of rich anyway.
Winthrop definitely rich and Ambrosia not, so they're going to have to go back onto an eco. But you saw it there, that second wave. So as they're pushing and pulling the players back towards that B site from the get-go, once you hit that minute mark, you saw a couple of players starting to hesitate a little bit more for Ambrosia, trying to play a little bit back towards the mid side, towards A. But when you have these smokes being thrown on the top from this double controller setup, they also waited for the replenishment of that recon dart from Nasi, so he could actually support here the Neon to move forward and get these openers. So I love this work.
Oh, by satellite. Didn't even see that coming. Wait, this is kind of an aggressive approach out of Ambrosia, getting desperate with the sheriffs and just catching the fadeaway on Shondax. Great for Winthrop to get a flawless and make themselves even more rich. And jeez, from a 1-8 start, just to throw that out there, the Winthrop are in the lead 10-9. Playoffs of Challengers is crazy.
Yeah, definitely. And now there was just one of those Hail Mary plays on an eco. You know, you're not trying to play more reactive. You're saying, okay, well, we have the overdrive available from Satellite. We don't really know how they're really working their defense at the beginning of the rounds here for Winthrop University, outside of when they're pulling recon darts at the start. But with no recon darts coming through in that previous round, I would have expected for them to not try to go for that type of Hail Mary play that you would expect here from the side of the attack, that they're playing more towards the spawn. So if you're running it down, people are just watching and waiting from the spawn. You get easily picked off as you're in your overdrive trying to go for the fault line push. But I think that would have been one of those moments where you're too focused on the on your eco play that you're trying to bring as a trap. Now you're forcing that second timeout from King Fred. They let that lead slip. Now full control for Winthrop University on the attack side.
And with a playoff spot, your playoff lives, I should say, on the line, and it's Infiltrator that it's going to go crazy with the overdrive. I wanted to see Satellite have his moment in the spotlight too, and didn't even get to really ramp up with his ult. And of course, Ali, didn't get to see them shine on with the ult previously because it was kind of an aggressive move against Ambrosia. But hey, Winthrop with the usual mid control. Now it's the dance. There's no Cypher camera in market that you have to worry about. They are still going to look for it. Acreon maybe setting up a fault line, maybe Paranoia from Glyph. Someone has to follow up with this. An Infiltrator gets peeked at first, worried about his back, is going to put the neon wall off, and the rolling thunder out of nowhere from Acreon. And Ambrosia can't get the chase down. They did get Winthrop out of mid. Is that enough for Ambrosia to settle things down, to stabilize? Acreon's going to find the corner, and Infiltrator's not going to check in. If he did, it's too little too late. Ambrosia have the numbers. And the spike that was getting planted at A, there's maybe a nice fake being sold left side of the map, and Ambrosia are playing catch-up.
This is a big swing right here. Lots of ults being used, big information taken as they want to flood into this A site.
All right, Shondax has eat this Nightfall on the chin and leaves his Omen out to dry on an island. Literally, Flare doesn't have Nasi, who is still rotating over from mid. And this is, you're going to have to just watch this fly by, bud. You're just gonna have to fade into the shadows, and we got a tie game.
An important swing round coming out here from the timeout from King Fred. 3 ults to work with. They used it to perfection. First off, I love the bait coming out from Infiltrator, though, to make sure that they waste out Adrian's Rolling Thunder and maybe have given him a better chance to work towards that B site. But after that pick came through, the Nightfall, and especially Shondex's hack to get the info there for Ambrosia, it didn't really give a chance here for that lurk to get activated all the way towards the A site from moves. So that timeout also, you saw here that we changed the positioning here of the defense. Shondex playing most of his trips on the A site now, and you want to play super soft towards B.
Oh, Satellite. I'm liking these first bloods. I'm liking Ambrosia being next door in this Shondex, guys. Oh, okay. He's able to hold it down. He's making it difficult for Winthrop. They start to surround, but these are not one duels out of Winthrop. What's the W stand for? The spike is off, separated from moves. They try to reconnect an elbow. Just looking for any isolation on Ambrosia. Setting up for trades, even with Shondex low. He still gets the spike down. Moves has to be nearby. And Ambrosia, a spike in sight. You got a high-low from Ambrosia. So Winthrop may have gotten the lead, but Ambrosia, these timeouts, they found the recipe, the secret sauce. And this is just a crossfire. As much as this seems possible, because moves is the GOAT, the setup from Ambrosia was too good.
And Shondex stayed alive with both of his trips up the whole time. So what I like here too is Ambrosia understanding that playing against Winthrop University, not pulling out this the breach into supporting the Neon. That positioning you have behind the bricks right here, where you just saw this kill that he got against Infiltrator. We call that slant or Jenny. It's such a strong position because you're not going to get it flushed out by any type of aftershock from a breach on the other end. So it ends up being a very strong point and a good area for the Cypher to work with over towards this A site. You need a little bit more here. You need shot darts to help out to break these trips, to weaken out the defense from the side of Shondex, and it seems as though Winthrop University want to attempt that.
Finish line in sight of Ambrosia. Trips to stop the Neon. A-Link being cut off by smokes. Camera within the site, so Ambrosia letting Winthrop walk in. And man, even able to prevent this from really developing. The spike still gets planted as Winthrop try to take safe positions out of the site. And as soon as they even try to leave the site, the lurk gets shut down. So you gotta hold down for your life. And it's Infiltrator, the overdrive. He gets pissed. He gets put to bed. And Nasi, oh my God, the Hunter's Fury with 3 may have just saved the round after I have to watch the spike get defused. You may just have to watch and get defused again. Nasi, not again.
What a nice try coming out from Nasi, though. 3 kills with the Hunter's Fury, a Shark Dart kill. If only his teammates was able to get one more or some damage, but that would have been one heck of a clutch on the side of Nasi there. But unfortunately not Planet for him to run back up. And it's a full stick from Glyph, loses his life on top of that, and that's just got to sting a little bit more. Look at how good that was, though. Grouped up, triple kill with 2 beams.
One enemy. Spike planted.
Yeah, that was a good effort. Yeah, we'll blame everyone else but Nasty. That's our GOAT right there. He said he's nasty before, but now you're looking at match point from Ambrosia. Any slip up could cost Winthrop, and this was a comeback that was looking really, really hype. They start off with 6-1 in the second half, so their offense is something else. And Infiltrator is not able to maintain supremacy over the other Neon. It's Satellite just tries to dip and dodge around his own wall. Even odds, even chances. Ambrosia just at the very back of the site, now trying to even up the lanes. There's the paranoia hitting Winthrop. They try to safeguard behind the spike. Flare is low, and he will sacrifice himself for Winthrop and keeps him in the game.
That's a big ult that was thrown too. Infiltrator had the nice first kill and even a wallbang onto Flare. And just wanted to overcommit to try to take him down. But when he pulled the wall up and was so focused on trying to take him down, he gets picked off, and that hat thrown by moves really allowed here for Winthrop University to move inside that site. look at how that allows players who got late in the very beginning at 17 HP to still sneak through and get 2 more kills and try to keep the dream alive for Winthrop University and push this into overtime. We're about to engage into a mid-site fight as Satellite's trying to walk out here with the op.
The big pig, oh, right in the kneecap. I don't think the university's going to cover that one, unfortunately. And we'll see if they still cover you after this, man. Oh, the last round of regulation. And Winthrop have been in their shadow. They even took a lead after being down 7 rounds. They go out kicking and screaming, never even using a timeout. Winthrop have believed all along. But Ambrosia have been upsetting teams left and right. And it was Ambrosia that beat Winthrop in the past. This is a rematch of round 4 of Swiss. Ambrosia only know map 3s as well. I could see this go in the distance. But Ambrosia, this is Winthrop's map pick, so they're rotating over through mid. Safe plant now that the door is closed. And watching market is moves. You got the neural theft though from Shondex. You're gonna realize how close Winthrop is. Ambrosia take their angles around. It's gonna be a pinch. The trick is gonna be triggered from Glyph as he throws a paranoia to help out Satellite with the overdrive out. This is for the map 1 win. But he can't see anything in the smoke and he's too scared to press. He waits for the Prowler, reveals someone close. Winthrop have the crossfire. Ambrosia don't have the clock on their side. Glyph emerges. Shondex gets a win. And it's Ambrosia that defuse and take Sunset.
And when it comes out with Satellite with the operator and the position of Shondex putting his stuff towards the east side, it was just too much there for the side of Winthrop University to deal with on their attack side. Beautiful retake towards the end with a big